Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing another walkthrough of one of my tracks that got placed recently. The track is Sanctuary, and it was from an industry-only release from Elephant Music, and the trailer was for A Very British Scandal. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of backstory about this track, because I think this is really, really important. So, obviously, those of you who are listening know that Vic and I launched Protege School 2 years ago. We're now into our second year of teaching and delivering to our students, and vice versa, students delivering tracks to us. And it's been an amazing ride. And one of the things we did in the first year, last year, was to create a course on how to write emotional solo string tracks for trailers. And this was one of the tracks. And it was really, really nice because it's kind of like proof in the pudding for me, you know. As much as, I have this podcast, I have the training music school, I have the courses, and, I do get quite a lot of placements, and I'm very blessed for that. Doesn't stop any imposter syndrome coming in, or doesn't stop any negativity or fears that I'm basically just not supposed to be doing this. It's still there, guys. Just because I've got to the point that I aimed to get to doesn't mean it stopped. So doing this, where I was teaching other people how to do it, and then the entire track then get placed on a trailer, for me was just it's kind of like a weight off my shoulders. I do know something. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but I'm sure you can sympathize, because it's one thing kind of saying, oh yeah, this track placed because of this, but it's another thing saying this track is going to place because of this. And that's exactly, I didn't say that in the course. I don't ever say that, this track's going to land, because a lot of the tracks I don't actually pitch, but the ideas that I teach in the course in Protege hold strong and hold true. So I'm really, really, really chuffed about this. So yeah, here we go. Let's dive into it. So I think it's important we watch the trailer first, and then we'll go into the details.
Hello, Satan.
You bastard.
You're the famous Mrs. Sweeney. Captain Ian Campbell.
I know who you are.
I once saw you in Paris. I said, there's a girl I'm gonna marry.
Who did you say that to?
My wife. I rather think it's why she divorced me.
Captain Ian Campbell has been announced as the 11th Duke of Argyll.
Be my Duchess.
We have to promise that we will never bore one another. If you were drunk last night, you're drunk now.
Stops me from shooting myself in the face. Because I could just shoot you in the face.
When the money runs out, because it will, the campaign to remove you will begin. And if you're not very careful, you too will be left with nothing.
You were never faithful to me, Ian, so let's not pretend that's who we are.
Can you prove it? Do you have a photograph? Love letters, diaries? Because I do.
There are reporters outside the house. Questions about you and men.
We played a spirited game. But we both know you don't have the guts for this.
Do we really?
You are going to give Ian what he wants.
Don't tell me what to do, because I won't be told. Not by you, or Ian, or anyone.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, so let's talk about this track. So the idea was that we go for kind of either Oscar nominees, Oscar winners, or period drama style things. We've obviously got the latter here, this lovely sort of tense period drama thing. Now, the idea with the track was that I supply essentially Act 1, 2, and 3, and it was interesting because actually they used all of my acts in the trailer, but almost as the Act 2 and 3. So let's talk about Act 1, Act 2, and 3. Act 3. So Act 1 is dealing with setting the tone. Act 2 building the drama, building the tension, building the pace. Act 3 is kind of like letting the track soar. And that kind of applies pretty much across the board, whether you're doing organic sound design, or whether you're doing epic hybrid trailers, or whether you're doing these emotional solo string tracks. Letting it soar is really important, and it's pretty much the same across the genre as what you're doing. So let's have a listen to the track as it was in my Logic session. Okay, there we go. You guys kind of had like an alternative mix on that one, because I've just finally switched from my 2010 Mac Pro to one of the, I wouldn't say up to date, because it's 2014 dustbin Mac. And obviously I'm in that annoying phase where you load up Logic and it's like, oh, this license isn't there yet. Oh, this can't find this contact instance. So you heard that without the bass, and I think you heard it with these Inventor instruments, my own instruments. They kind of reset to their default patches, annoyingly. So ever so slightly different, but there's only really a couple of important points here. The first one is in Act 1. So just when I was writing this, just so you know, I wrote it all on piano. I set out the chord sequence that I was going to use, and that was it. So I used to play the violin awfully, but nonetheless. So when I was learning solo violin pieces, a lot of these kind of lovely classical pieces would start out, particularly like chaconnes and things, would start out with like slow arpeggios. So that's what I wanted. I'm just stating the chord sequence here. I'm just saying, hey guys, this is the mood, these are the sequences that I'm choosing, and this is what we're going to stick with for the next 2 minutes or so. And I didn't do anything else really except for adding ambience. That's my own ambient piano. And then here, there is supposed to be a sub bass coming in. But then obviously the second iteration of the chord sequence is ever so slightly different, because I don't end on this chord here. I end on a slightly different one at the end. It's standard sort of utilizing 4 chord sequence, but you change the 4th chord the second time you hear it. So you're actually making it into an 8 chord sequence. And then I just added in some pizzicato just to bring some pace. And of course, I'll talk about this a lot, but this stuff is really important in training music. That's literally just a big taiko with the bottom swooped out and put into a big plate. There we go. That's what it is, but I've just rolled off the EQ, so it's like this distant kind of like type of thing. Then that's Act 1. I mean, I'm just stating my chord sequence in arpeggios. I'm just adding a bit of ambience and a bit of sort of trailerization with the swish hit. Then we go into Act 2, and it's just a case of hello, triplet pattern. So I'm essentially switching from 4/4 to 12/8. Which is a triplet feel in 4, basically, or 4 feel in triplets, I don't know. And then one of my favourite things to do, just to bring pace, clocks and sticks, you know. Bit of ambience as well. This time I've got the bigger hits coming in as well, so it's not just the kind of whoosh, it's the bigger hits too. And then, I mean, that's really straightforward. It's like, hello, let's talk about this arpeggio, but let's change it. So I'm not writing anything new, I'm just rephrasing the old material. Now let's go into Act 3. It's the same chord sequence, but with... It should have a bass underneath going ba 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 ba. It's that letting it soar. So without that top line, it doesn't feel like this kind of like big open Act 3. And this is something to bear in mind when you are writing your Act 3s, giving it the top line that's really clear, and letting there be some shimmer. So this top line is the shimmer and the top line. It's kind of like, well, I say the pads are kind of the shimmer as well, but it kind of, the shimmer kind of gives you this implied distance and implied space, and the top line does the same. By kind of reaching up to the extremities in pitch, you are therefore kind of showing how the track is growing and expanding. And it's the same with volume as well. You know, you want to kind of start small, start close. You know, it doesn't have to be close, but the idea is there. Start small and close and low, and then kind of build out and expand as the track goes on. That's pretty much trailer writing. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail because there isn't much. As you see, this is only a 31 track cue, and essentially all I have is the violins chugging away, the pads, the bass, and the percussion. Yeah, that's basically it. And obviously the big trailer hits. There's sort of 5 stems in here. There's nothing much too busy. And it's a really nice exercise for you guys to look at this and say, well, how can I do the same? How can I write minimally with this kind of maximal effect? You know, it's that Hans Zimmer idea, isn't it? Minimal maximalist, or maximal minimalist, I think is what he likes to call himself, or some other people call him, or he started I don't know what it was. Anyway, the idea is there, you know, there is hardly any musical material, but the way you work that musical material creates this space, creates all of the important aspects of training music. It creates character, it creates tone, it creates mood, it creates drive, it creates build, tension, and expanse, and weight, and impact. It's a lot of adjectives, I know, but you know. So here it is. That's the track. I've called it Inner Sanctum. Vic tends to rename my file, my tracks. So the track is actually called Sanctuary on the album Sanctuary by Elephant Music. I think it was just industry only, and it landed on that trailer, A Very British Scandal. And like I said, the big win for me was this kind of, actually the stuff I'm teaching at Protege. It works, you know. I know it sounds silly me saying that, but you know, I'm not immune to self-doubt. I'm not immune to it, you know, even though I get placements, it doesn't mean I stop worrying about not getting placements anymore. It doesn't mean I stop worrying about like not doing my job well. So this was a really nice thing for me. It's one thing landing a track. It's another thing landing a track where I kind of showed people how I write it as I was writing it. If you are keen to get into this style of writing, it's really important that you find decent players. You know, I have gone through a vast array of mediocre and amazing players, and the funny thing is you never really know what you're going to get until you press record. Some players, when you press record, aren't the same player, that then they're more live players. Other players are more like machines, that when you press record, their timing is outstandingly, outrageously good, and the same with their tuning. Tuning here, there were a couple of tuning issues, but I quite like it. You know, it's more real, it's more human, and they're not bad enough. And the same with timing, it's not bad enough to warrant me to kind of go in there and chop things about, which I have done in some of the other tracks on this album, because the danger of writing for a solo string player is you write it on the keyboard or the piano and you forget to think about the physicality of the playing. So some of the parts I gave the players were impossibly difficult because I wasn't thinking about the violin player. I was thinking about me on the piano. So if you want to get into that stuff, think about the player and try and find a good player. When you've got a good player, stick with them. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this brief walkthrough of one of my tracks, Sanctuary, and I hope you get a lot out of it. And if you are interested in learning more about these sort of subgenres within trailing music, I strongly suggest you join us at Protege. It's a lot of fun for me, and as it is for the students. You guys have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time.